Have you been scheduling your tasks in your calendar? And then when it comes time to actually take action, you've been feeling overwhelmed and like you don't want to honor this plan. Well, you're not alone. In this video, I'm going to break down the top 3 mistakes that entrepreneurs make when it comes to scheduling their time into their calendar and give you solutions so you can actually reach your goals and achieve your tasks. The number one thing that I see happening with my clients is that they don't have a system that helps them reflect on what happened in the last weeks before they plan for the upcoming week. And this is a very important thing to do because that's when you are intentionally looking at what worked and what didn't, what you want more of, what you want less of in your upcoming week. That really helps making sure that nothing is getting missed and identify the things that are still on the list week after week. And by doing this work of reflecting and making sure that you're looking at your calendar and your list from the previous week, you are setting a strong base on what needs to be done in the upcoming week. So you're not filling your calendar with just things that have been on the list forever. And so they have their place in your calendar because they're just things that you haven't done, but you know deep down that they need to happen. So you're putting it back. But if you're not intentionally looking at it and understanding why it was not done the previous week, then you'll put it in your calendar and then it's not going to get done again. And this is not helping with in neither your productivity or how happy you will be with yourself when looking at your list at the end of the week. In Calendar Success, we meet every Sunday night to feel the Power Hour Planner. And one section in there is called Doing What's Hard. And that's where we identify one task that has been very hard to follow through on, or that's been on the list for a few weeks, and that we identify and we make sure that there is no big mindset block on it and we think through it and we get curious about why is this task not getting done and for what we can actually implement in the upcoming week so this specific task is going to get done. So having this intentional time where you reflect before you plan is very important when it comes to putting things in your calendar. The second thing is that your calendar is not actually aligned with either the time that you have or your values. So you're filling your calendar with the should do or like what other people expects you to do. And so when it comes to looking at your calendar and do the task, it doesn't really make sense. And our human brain wants to just have fun and keep us safe and do the things that we really enjoy. And so when we look at our calendar and it's filled with tasks that feel like should do, we obviously don't want to do it. And so that's when you're like, well, I'll do this instead, and then not follow through on your task that you scheduled. When you are creating your calendar, make sure that you are filling it first with the things that truly matters to you and that are the most important and the most aligned with your values. You also need to make sure that your list and what you put in your calendar is aligned with the time that you actually have. So some weeks, you know that you're going to have to go to an event or your kids are going to be home or you'll have a full day of conference. And so your week is shorter than usual. Don't put as many things as a normal week in this week because you know that you won't be able to do all of the things because you have less time. It's really interesting when you start putting things in your calendar and you think that this content creation is going to take me an hour. And then it actually takes you 2 or 3 hours. So it's very important to track all of this. So when you are getting into the habit of creating your calendar, you are actually aligning your calendar with the time that things take and the time that you actually have in your week. And that is why it's very important to protect your time with what matters. For me, it means scheduling my non negotiable first in my calendar. So before I sync my Google Calendar to my ClickUp, I actually put the non-negotiable in my Google Calendar so it can't move. And these are my workouts, these are picking up my kids, my family time in the evening and in the morning when I'm having breakfast with them, scheduling my content creation time block, things like this that I know matters truly to me and are my non-negotiable. I put in my calendar first and then I fill with the rest of the tasks that are on my to-do list. This is how you make sure that your calendar is aligned with who you are, who you want to become, and what your values are. And the last mistake that I see a lot of entrepreneurs do is scheduling every single minute in their calendar. And that doesn't work because life is going to be full of surprises. We know that the unexpected is going to show up. And so when your calendar is full from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., then you don't have space for new things or for life to come up. And then when life is going to show up anyway, you're going to fall behind. And then you're going to create stress and guilt because then your plan becomes unachievable. This is why we need buffer time in our calendar. You can schedule buffer time in between your tasks. It is actually very good for your brain to have some thinking time in between big tasks. It really helps your brain process things and be more focused when you come back to work. And you can also schedule buffer time at the end of your day so you know that you have space to move things around or finish a few tasks that were not finished in the time block that you had scheduled. And that's how I do it. Schedule one half day or full day at the end of the week where you know that you can move things around and you have a full 4 hours at the end of the week that you can finish your task or add new things that came up during your week. But it is very important to not schedule your entire time. My advice is to schedule about 70% of the actual available work time that you have and leave this 30% for like getting some fresh air, getting a drink, going to the washroom, like all of these things that really helps you take breaks in between your tasks and create some breathing room for real life. I love using ClickUp for that because you can add some like ideas or like new tasks that are coming to you and then you can reassess at the end of your day or at the end of the week if there are things that really needs to happen. We had this discussion with one of my clients in Calendar Success the other day where he was sharing that when he's done with his to-do list for the day, he adds more things, always has more things to add, and there is always something new. And it was feeling super overwhelming for him. And like he would never be successful in doing all of the things that was on his list. And that's why using ClickUp or like a tool where you can add the new tasks and prioritize is super powerful. It's not because something is new on your list that is urgent. And so prioritizing and making sure that you're not filling your calendar with all of the things or like jumping on things and reacting on what is happening in your life is really helpful when it comes to honoring your calendar. It's going to feel way more manageable to actually follow through and honor your calendar when it has some breathing space. So these are the top 3 mistakes that I see most entrepreneurs do when it comes to creating their calendar. And so if you feel like it's you, I encourage you to start doing a weekly review where you reflect on your past week and intentionally plan for the upcoming week. And if you need some extra support for that, I invite you to join us next Sunday in the Power Hour. I'll put the link to the community below and I'll see you in the next one.